Hello and welcome to Unstoppable Africa TV. I'm Melissa Matani and will be your host for these 2 days of jam-packed action from the conference floor. Behind me you can see the main stage. This is where all the action is about to happen. People are coming into the room. Over there is a content studio where we will be recording interviews. And here is the Unstoppable Africa TV news desk, where I will be bringing you live bespoke content from the floor in between the main stage sessions. We'll have our own special guest, one joining us just in a moment. And most importantly for you at home, I will be taking your questions. Just because you can't physically be in the room, it doesn't mean that your voice won't be heard. So go to the UN Global Compact app, fill in your questions for the sessions on stage, or comment directly on YouTube. I'll be keeping a lookout for them and will ask those questions on your behalf. Plus, send me your comments. Let me know where you're watching from. A special shout out to everyone watching from Zambia, where I'm from. I hope there are some Lusaka watch parties. Let me know what you think makes Africa unstoppable. Now, talking of unstoppable, I'm delighted to be joined now by Talulope Lewis. She is the Chief Government Relations in Africa for the United Nations Global Compact. She is one of the key women behind this conference and is without a doubt unstoppable. Tulu, we are just about to get underway. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very excited.
Oh, good.
We've spent the whole year planning for this exciting moment, and there we are, our first day on Unstoppable Africa, and the crowds are coming in, the stage is set, and we're just looking forward to kicking it off.
You know, the crowds really are coming in. Like, this is not, you have not seen the people outside, but this is what is happening inside. Tell me, how long does it take to actually plan a conference like this?
This is our fourth year of Unstoppable Africa. It takes a whole year to plan all of this, to bring in a great lineup of speakers, of heads of states, of business leaders across the continent and beyond. And it's all happening today. And so we're very excited that it's all coming together. A great show of teamwork from across the entire spectrum.
You are being very gracious, but come on. I mean, wrangling with heads of state, government officials, it's not easy. And you are the woman who heads that up. Last year, I think we had at least 6 heads of state. There's one panel that has 3 presidents.
Indeed.
How did you manage that?
Well, it's
give us a little bit of the behind the scenes. Give us the real deal.
In Africa, it takes a family, it takes a village, right? So, of course, working with our missions in New York, working with our colleagues who are on the ground on the continent, with the likes of you, Stephanie, the media, and getting the word out. And Unstoppable Africa in its 4th year has become a recognized stage where people know that they're going to listen to leaders and they're going to see commitments happening on a large scale. And it's happening on the back of the UN General Assembly, and it's UN at 80, and we're very excited this year to focus on a key topic, which is about trade, and how does trade benefit the continent.
Well, you know, I was going to ask you, it's a really interesting time. Here in America, we're seeing the trade rules being torn up. You know, we've got tariffs coming in, especially on some African countries. Have you seen or heard, like, a change in the winds of how people are seeing? Are they seeing this as an opportunity? Are they saying this as something negative?
No, we're definitely seeing this as an opportunity, and that's what we're spotlighting here at Unstoppable Africa, because the continent is united around trade. With the AfCFTA, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement and Protocol, it is an opportunity for the continent to trade together as one, but trade with the rest of the world. And so we see this as a fantastic opportunity to trade, you know, with other parts of the world and really bring Africa to the fore. There are huge potentials and opportunities in the digital sector, in the tech sector, the growing youth population, and these are opportunities to advance trade in Africa.
Do you feel like there's been a shift in perception? So you said this is the 4th year, right? I remember the first one, I was there.
You were there.
And do you think there's been a shift in how people are beginning to perceive Africa, just in general?
I mean, like, you know, this tells us that there's a big shift. You know, the number of people who are here, and not only from the continent, but from beyond. You know, we've got partnerships already with the Middle East. They're here activating with us at Unstoppable Africa, you know, with Asia. And so we see that the doors are opening up to other regions as well. And they know that they're going to come here to find those who are cutting edge leaders on the continent in these fields. Like I said, in the digital field, in the energy field, and we'll be showcasing that at Unstoppable Africa this year.
Tell us, what are some of the surprises that we have in store? Because you know everything, because you are the chief of government relations, of everything, then you have literally wrangled everyone together.
Exactly.
What can we expect? What
All right,
can the people at home expect?
I wouldn't let out too much out of the bag, but today...
No, come on, tell us everything.
All right. So we're going to be expecting the leadership of the UN with us over the 2 days. You know, the SG opens us up.
Yeah.
So he'll be here, and that's a big one for us this year to have him with us in person. The Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, is already here working the grounds. Yes, she is. But also we'll have 8 heads of state. So we've also grown in terms of, you know, our heads of state representation. We have our president from Namibia, female president, head of state. She'll be here with us. Angola, as well as the chair of the African Union this year. We'll have the head of state here, plus lots of private sector leaders from DP World to, you know, Chef Michael Samuelson. He'll be showcasing some of his work, you know, blending in the African spices and dishes into a global audience. So we're really excited about the lineup. Also the sports and the music icons who will be here, including Tiwa Savage.
You know, sports and music is really good, because I think that's where Africa's soft power has really made a huge difference, what we're seeing in America. You know, I think the Tatiana, the Nigerian restaurant in New York, that reservation is impossible to come by. But I want to ask you a question now for our viewers at home, because in this news desk, we like to keep it real.
Yep.
So dish the dirt a little bit. Out of all the heads of state that you've been dealing with, who is the most difficult?
Actually, they haven't been difficult because, you know, having a head of state in the audience requires a lot of security checks, protocol checks as well. We've got lots of support, including from the U.S. Secret Service. So we're really excited that, you know, it's all coming together. We've worked very closely with the African Union. So I think it's all coming together nicely. Frankly, I don't have any worries at this point.
Did you sleep well last night?
I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep much, but you know, that's to be excited. I'll catch up after Unstoppable Africa.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, just before you go, I know we've got somebody else who's joining us now. Dan Thomas is about to join us here on stage. But tell me, who is your African hero or role model?
Oh, well, I think for over the next 2 days, I think my role model is actually a young person.
Who?
Yes, we've got a new SDG ambassador for global peace. Her name is Miriam, and she's going to be opening the stage this morning. She's already here in the audience. I had a nice chat with her already, and she's going to blow us away this morning. So that's somebody
amazing.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. But to all our sponsors and partners, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of them, Frexim Bank, AFC, and so many more who've made this really a reality for us. We've become the biggest stage where the private sector meets with the global audience. So we're very happy about that.
That is wonderful. Well, Tulu, thank you so much. We are excited. We're going to let you go because I know that it's very, very busy. For those of you who are watching at home, don't forget, if you are watching, if you want to take a screenshot or a video, make sure you tag @GlobalAfricaBiz and use the hashtag #UnstoppableAfrica so we can make it trend. We want to hear from you. We want to see how you're watching. We want to see where you're watching from. And again, I give it up to the Zambian Massive, my homies. I want to hear from you.
And to the Nigerian
And to the Nigerians, and to the Nigerians. All over the continent, we want to see where you're watching from, so tag us and let us know. So thank you, Tulu.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Before this conference gets underway, as you can see, the people are just coming in behind me. I am joined by the Chief Communications Officer from the UN Global Compact, and that is Dan Thomas, who is right here next to me. Dan, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, thanks Melissa. How are you?
I'm good. Did you sleep well last
I
night?
slept not too well, so I woke up rather early.
Well, I can
looking
imagine.
At press releases and looking at some of the plans that we were making to make sure that everything was in place.
Well, you know, it is a testament to the way that Africa is being perceived here, just by the amount of people that are here, by the amount of media that are here. Give our audience a sense of what goes on behind the scenes to actually get something like this to the point where we're at, where people are actually coming into the room.
Well, it's a huge amount of planning's gone into this.
Well, when do you start planning?
A whole year of planning. So we started planning immediately after the last Unstoppable Africa, which was in a different venue at Cipriani's across town. We decided we needed a bigger space.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so we're here in the Marriott Marquis. We've got a much bigger space. We've got more people coming. And in some ways, this is an event that's just growing, getting bigger. And one of the things that I'm really excited about this year is that the media are coming in a major way. Last year we had some media, they reported on what we were doing. This year we've got TV crews from all over Africa. The Angolans are here, the Kenyans are here.
Fantastic.
We've got several TV stations from Nigeria here, South African broadcasting are here, as well as some of the major international broadcasters as well. So Bloomberg TV are here doing interviews, CNN International,
it is a media fest.
and BBC Africa as well.
That's wonderful.
So we're very pleased with the way it's going.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that there is like a global shift towards Africa, seeing it as a land of opportunity, or is it just that, you know, we have some big presidents and change makers and a few secret acts that people are excited to see, or a combination?
I think a combination of the two, but I think broadly speaking, Africa is really sort of on the rise, and we're hearing more and more about the African private sector, about the investments in Africa. And so this Global Africa Business Initiative that we've been building, and this is the flagship event of that initiative, is really sort of gathering momentum now. And so I think that's part of it, the idea that we're convening CEOs, business leaders from Africa in New York, because they're here for the UN General Assembly and other meetings. And it's quite hard actually to get them together on the continent. It's much easier to get them together in a place like New York because they've all come here already.
Well, that's actually one of the things that I'm going to be speaking to our guests about, because I do think there's, you know, there's a lot of interest in this free trade agreement, which is great, but for Africans to get visas to actually travel within Africa still remains a huge hurdle that they need to cross. It is easier for them to come to New York.
Yeah.
And talking of traveling, when I was looking you up, Dan, I was looking at your past history, and you've lived in so many different countries, from Hong Kong, you've lived in Nairobi, you've lived in London, well, and you were from Cardiff, I think, and
yes,
now
indeed.
you're in New York.
I'm in New York.
How did that come about? Tell us about your career.
Well, a career of being on the move, I guess. I've been an expatriate most of my life. I'm from London, but I've as you say, I started my career in Hong Kong as a journalist with Reuters, went back to London with Reuters, was offered a job at the UN with UNICEF, so I moved to New York.
And you've actually worked in a couple of different UN offices, from UNICEF, and then you've worked for the UN President's Office, I believe, and now UN Global Compact.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people don't really understand what the UN does, or there has been a sort of a negative shift, shall we say, in current politics about the role of the UN. What do you think people most misunderstand about the UN?
I think the biggest misunderstanding about the UN is that it's this sort of bureaucracy of international civil servants. Yes, the Secretariat and people like me, we're the ones who run the office, but actually the United Nations is a club of 193 member states. That's really the United Nations. It's all of those countries coming together at the United Nations to talk to each other, to negotiate with each other, to make peace with each other, to negotiate on trade and human rights and climate change. You know, all the really big issues of the world can be addressed by countries coming together to talk, discuss, and hopefully, you know, take action and make progress.
Well, you know, talking about negotiating and keeping the peace, tell me, what are you most worried about at this conference?
At this conference?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm doing the communication, so I'm worried about whether all the media who want to come can get in. They're all registering downstairs. There's a registration process, and you know, some of them are probably calling me right now saying that we can't get in, we want to come in. So I want the media to come because I want the world to understand what we're doing here. And by having the media and by having this live stream show, we're able to share what's happening here in New York, here in Times Square, with the rest of the world. And you know, you can imagine there's so many people across the African continent who are extremely interested in what's happening here. And so this is a way of being able to share with them, you know, what we're doing. There's very important people on the stage making announcements, talking about really important issues like trade and energy policy, the media, talking about fashion and sport and
Yeah,
creative industries. So we're really covering the whole sort of gamut. And there's so many people interested in that. And hopefully they're watching us live on YouTube.
Well,
or
we hope so. We want to hear from you. And in fact, let me just pull up the page right now and see who is watching. And Dan, so tell me about your time in Nairobi. Did you like living there?
I enjoyed living in Nairobi very much. I was producing a TV show called Africa Journal. It was a weekly show organized by Reuters, Viz News previously, created actually by the legendary Mohammed Amin,
Oh, wow.
who was the cameraman that filmed Ethiopian famine, which turned into the big Live Aid concert.
Yeah.
Very famous Kenyan journalist. And it was started by him. It was a weekly show where we filmed stories around Africa. I was based in Nairobi for a while, and we broadcast stories, everything from business and current affairs to kind of sport, and a bit like this actually. The full gamut of African life, human interest stories, business stories, culture stories, and it was broadcast weekly in French, Swahili, and English.
And how many other African countries have you lived in? Any other African countries?
I haven't lived in. I've
visited?
traveled many African countries, mainly through my work with BBC and then with UNICEF. I was
Ladies and
fortunate enough to
gentlemen,
travel
it's time
around
to take your
Africa,
seats as Unstoppable
filming for
Africa
UNICEF, filming a number of
2025 is
UNICEF
about to
programs
begin.
with children, and so I've been to many of the countries in
Have you
in
ever
Africa.
been to Zambia?
I have been to Zambia
Ah,
a couple of
whereabouts have
times.
you been?
Well, I was in Lusaka, obviously, and Dodoma. I think is that
Okay.
in Zambia?
I've
Dodoma.
never been there, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
okay. I think it was, yeah. So I filmed a number of things in Zambia, and all the East African countries around there. So yeah.
That is wonderful.
And you're from Zambia, right?
I am from Zambia.
Where were you born?
I was born in London, but then I lived in Ndola until I was 6.5. I went to
Yeah.
a school called Nsansa, and in fact, a fun story for you. At the Unstoppable Africa conference a year before last, I was interviewing somebody in the audience, and she said, I went to school with you.
No.
I've been to your house. I came to your 6th birthday party. And I was like, what? And that was Bussy. Bussy, if you're watching, you might remember that. That was a really fun moment. And so we really are a small world.
Right.
And then I live between the two. And in fact, my dad is in Lusaka. He still lives there. Dad, hi, if you're watching. But yes, we're hoping for some Lusaka watch parties. And
right.
Zambia is wonderful. I got married there in the middle of the bush.
Wow.
If
Okay.
anybody needs some good safari recommendations, don't go to South Africa, come to Zambia.
Yeah. And tell me, Melissa, what are you going to do on the show? What are your plans today?
We have a jam-packed show. I know that we are just waiting for the room to get underway. And actually, I think we're going to end here because the main stage programming is about to begin, and I will join you shortly.